Hey guys, Shane here from the Vendor Boys. Doing a deck profile today on a deck I think is currently very underrated. It's the Finn archetype. So this leader was released in set 15. I think it's a very underrated deck for the current meta. I'm not saying it's the best deck, but I think it's probably one of the best rogue decks you can play at the moment. For those of you who don't know what the leader does, I'll give you a quick little run through. So it has an order: when it attacks, you draw a card. Its second order is when a card is placed under this card, you draw a card, you add up cards from your life to your hand till you have 6 life left, and then you flip this over. It has an activate main skill of if all of your energy is black, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card, so that obviously triggers the second auto. And the awaken, which is I guess your awaken, is when your life is 4 or less, you can draw 2 cards and flip this over. The permanent on the awakened side is this card gains 5,000 power for each card underneath it. The order is at the end of the battle, play all the battle cards under this card in your opponent's battle area with their skills negated for the game. Then place all the other cards from under this in the drop area. So there's not really anything that really puts anything but battle cards under your leader card at the moment. So maybe it could be a future development, we're not sure. But for now, basically you just return all your opponent's battle cards and they have their skills negated for the game. The activate mana on this is pretty interesting, so especially if you verse a deck like Sin Shamron and they lock your leader down on this side, you don't actually have to swing it on this side to draw a card. So this has an activate main of a once per turn. If all your energy is black, you draw a card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card, and then you can choose one keyword skill on a card that is underneath this card and gain that for the turn. So there's other cards that put other cards under this leader, and basically you can utilize this effect to give this, you know, double strike, crit, or triple strike, or quad strike, or victory strike, whatever you have under there you can choose. But remember, you only get that choice when you do this activate main, so make sure if you want something on your leader, a certain keyword skill, make sure you play around that. Otherwise, you know, it's just a pretty nifty leader being able to gain multiple different keyword skills for I guess no cost. Going on to the main deck, so the main deck plays 4 Toa, 4 Mirror of the 3 cost, and 4 Mirror of the 7 cost. So for those of you who don't know, this Toa here is basically just your searcher of the deck. Searcher of the 3 cost. 3 or less Android or Demon Race to your hand, or a black Unison with a specified cost 2. It has an activate main of a spirit boost effect. Pay 1 black. If your leader card is Black Finn, you put 1 card on your leader card into its owner's drop area. So I'll go into a bit more about that second effect later when we get to the Unisons. But this can have some good synergy depending on your matchup. This mirror here is a promo mirror, so they basically had another version of this mirror, I guess, in the same set that the 7 cost came out. But the original version of this was just Overwhelm 3, Unions Orb, 4 colorless, and then everything else read the same. The new one is inherently better because it's the exact same as Overwhelm 3, but it has an order that when you play this card, you draw a card, and then you choose 1 card in your hand and send it to your warp, so that allows you to filter your hand and get rid of these because you want these in warp for this effect. So the Unions Orb on this is 3 black. If you have 4 more energy and you place 1 total card from your warp area, usually you choose these, under this card, you can choose a mirror card with an energy cost of 7 or less in your hand or warp and play it on top of this card in active mode. So a lot of the time you wouldn't play this and swing with it and then play this, because a lot of the time people will get rid of this. So sometimes people play a couple extra totals because they want to see it for this, but I've always found 4 is always plenty because the deck does draw quite a bit when you get it going. And for those of you who don't know what the 7 cost does, this basically, when it's played with the Unisons skill, your opponent chooses 3 cards in their hand and whoops them, and this card gains double strike for the turn. And then when this card swings, it gains plus 5k for each plus 5k power for each card in your warp. So if you have 10 cards in your warp, that's getting a 50k boost. Good thing about this, has deflex. They can't necessarily stop it on the play when you evolve, so they have to essentially stop this to stop this. And the good thing about playing this off of this card here is this doesn't leave at the end of the turn like it normally would with the Overwhelm skill. because you're playing it through Union, so every turn it's going to be a big beat stick coming in if they don't get rid of it. Moving on to a couple of the different Thin cards we play. So we play 2 of this card here, Thin Coercion Incarnate. So this card is a 2-cost deflect that basically just wipes boards. Obviously it doesn't get around barrier, but basically when this card is played from your hand, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and you choose the rest of them and warp them. So it's good to get around big boards that don't have barrier, so it's actually not a bad card. Thin Unisons, I was originally running it at 3, but within testing I didn't think it was good enough to run at 3, so I've now opted it back down to 2. For those of you who don't know what this does, this has a black auto cost with 1 black mana. If your opponent has a skillless battle card in play, at the end of the battle when this was using a corner from your hand, you play it from your hand in rest mode. Play it from your drop area in rest mode, sorry. And then the auto on this is if your leader card's a black Thin, when this card is played, you can choose one of your opponent's Unisons, stick it under this card. This card can't be used for a combo until the end of the turn. And at the end of the turn, you play that Unison back on their side with that skills negated when there are 2 markers on it. So they can't uptick it or use any skills on it. So unless they have a way to downtick it, their Unison becomes skillless. So they can't activate the skills on the Unison. And if you eat a Unison and they kill this after it's eaten the Unison just goes to drop. So they have to sort of play around this as well at the same time. Then we play 3 of this Thin here. This is a new Thin from set 16. This is actually a very good card for the deck. This has deflect barrier, so it's very hard to get around. So basically, when you play this card, you draw a card. Activate main, Spirit Boost 1. Black Unison cost with specified cost 2 or more, and you have 4 or more energy. You can choose 1 black Thin card with an energy cost of 8 in your hand and play it on top of this card. So I'll go on to the 8 cost now. So the 8 cost we play is this card here, Thin the All Absorbing. For anyone that doesn't know what this does, so the original way you had to play this was if you had 4 or more energy and you place the card on your leader card and its owner's drop area, you play this card from your hand. So you'd have to waste your leader's ability originally to be able to do this, but not anymore. It has a Spirit Boost 1 effect that if your leader card is a black Thin card, when you play this card you can choose all of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier and place them on your leader. So if they have a big board of 8-10 dudes, you're getting a very, very big 40-45k buff on your leader alone just from that. If you don't use your leader effect, even if you drop one off, you can still make it, you know, a big, you know, 40-50k with a double strike or triple strike or quarter attack, and it's very threatening. And then this also has an activate main. You can put 1 card under your leader card in the drop area and switch this card to active mode. So you can swing with this, drop a card with your leader, swing with this again. So it's essentially a dual attacker. It puts in a bit of work. I guess you say it could be easy to play around, but if you rip the whole board, it's sort of hard for them to recover from that if you manage to drop a lot of the cards off the bottom of your leader. Going into the small engine we play in this deck, so because we're playing black, we utilize a small thwarting package. Obviously we use the super combos as our Vegeta Xeno. This Goku here, we started playing over the set 14-1 or set 15-1 because when you play this card from your hand, you can draw a card, so you can utilize it to draw more cards if you need to. Sometimes you don't see this, or sometimes you want to see other stuff, so you can just spam this on the board, combo them off later, it doesn't matter, because you're, for 1 cost, you're getting a 5k combo and drawing a card, so it's not too bad. Obviously you guys know what the super combo does, it just bottom deck 1, this draws 2. This Gogeta is very good, especially if you need to go more aggro. This is a triple attack blocker, while it's in rest mode it can't be carried by your opponent's skills. And then the auto is once per turn when this card attacks. Your opponent has to choose 2 cards in their hand and 2 of their battle cards ignoring barrier and send them to their warp. And at the end of the turn switch this card to active mode. And then the activate main is you pay 4 mana and you choose one of these in your battle area or drop area and send them to their warp and play this card from your hand. So this has a very good synergy with the deck if you use a bit of resources and need a sort of a big attacker. This is like another big guy you can play that does a lot of work as well. We play 2 of this Demon God Poutine. This was a card that came out this set in set 16. I think this card is very underrated. It's a very busted card. For those who don't know what this does, it's an Overwhelm 3/1 cost. So you pay 1 Overwhelm, Dark Overwhelm 3 and it's blocker. And this doesn't leave the board because it's Dark Overrealm. Obviously, all your cards in your drop area you have to at least have 3 black cards for Dark Overrealm. And this has an ability that when it's played, you play 1 Demon Realm Shadow token on the board. And then this has an activate battle skill of once per turn you can choose one of your Demon Realm Soldier tokens and remove it from the game. You get to draw a card, switch this card to active mode, and it gains plus 10k power for the battle. So you can basically utilize the one you play at the very start with this to essentially make your first attack with this 25k draw a card. There's another spicy combo you can do with this, which I'll show you after, but we'll get through this and I'll explain that after. 2 Demon God. This card here is just good for removal. And you know, for a 30k swinger that's not too hard to get out, it just utilizes some extra play you can do. Like worst case scenario, if I find on the matchup I don't need this, I can just charge this. But it's just generically good just to have in case you need it. So I recommend, even though it's not seeing much play at the moment, I still think it's very good in this deck for what it is. And 2 Oceanus. This card here is basically mill a lot of cards or end your turn essentially. This card does a lot. And we play 1 Chumper Furthering Destruction. This is just good if your leader is a big card that might have crit or something. You can just give this to your leader and crit 2 cards, or get you guaranteed crit 2 cards. So it's just a generically good card. It's also a good game ender. For my Unisons and I guess my secret rare, so we play 2 of this Boo, 3 of this Bardock, and Super Mirror. So I was originally playing the Pan secret rare, but I find with the amount of negates you have, the amount you can actually stop with this deck, the Pan was a bit of an overkill. Plus against blue, it's very easily stopped, so I opted out with this instead. This is just inherently better, I think, for the deck. Very hard for blue to stop this. For those of you who don't know what this does, this is a dual attack blocker. This came out in this set. Has an empower yellow 3 black 3, so if I play it over any of these, it gains 3 marks on top of this when it's played. Has an activate main. If leader card is a black Android card, I can play this card from my hand with 4 markers on it, so I don't have to pay the yellow cost. I can just play it for the 4 colorless costs. And then when your opponent, the +1 is when your opponent attacks with a battle card, it gets +1 and switches to active mode. And then the -4 is choose all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier and KO them. And then you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's cards and switch them to rest mode. And this card gains +15k and double strike for the turn. So what's good about this is when you use the -4 in this, you can essentially hit leaders, energy, whatever. So if you're versing decks like red or blue that might have already used their free counter plays for the turn, you can utilize this so they can't use any more of their energy for more negate. So this is also a good game ender as well, but this is also good for a blocker. It's just very big and beefy. For those of you who don't know what this does, this Bardock here has an auto once a turn when you move a marker from this skill from this card using Spirit Boost. You can send 1 battle card from your opponent's drop area to their warp. The +1 is draw a card. And the -2 is until the end of your opponent's next turn, they can't attack with battle cards unless they choose 1 card in the hand and send it to their warp. So this can be used as a stall tactic, or this can just be used as a draw engine. A lot of time we use it for a draw engine unless you go into a more aggro matchup. Then this sort of slows that matchup down. And then for the Boo here, because we play a lot of things that have to have some sort of Spirit Boost effect, I'd like to play a few more Unisons just to see that. But at the same time, your opponent's skillless battle cards can't tap this card, so this card essentially stays alive longer than this. So if you're going to a matchup with a swing at Unison, but you've already basically made all the dude skillless, you can just play this instead. This has an auto, if it's your turn, when a skillless battle card, Unison card is played in your opponent's battle area, you draw a card. So this has the same Bardock effect as this, as long as you're eating a card from their board every turn with leader. But also has a +1, this card gets +5,000 power for the turn, or a -1. You can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and place it under your leader card. So you can obviously utilize giving your leader a bigger buff. But in saying that, the good combo you can do with these is with this Toa here. You can essentially drop off any problem card with this activate main. And then with the Spirit Boost, you can get rid of warp any problem cards out of your opponent's drop area. So for example, Sin Shenron, you can whoop their 1-star balls, so if they have nothing in the drop, you can then just whoop the 1-star, kill the 9-drop, and then they get to play. They may get the draw, but they don't get to play, so it makes their setup a lot harder. But yeah, this just removes problem cards from the drop area if they have it. If they have anything you don't want them to have in there. I guess some of my extra cards. This was originally run for Slug. Slug obviously used to hurt a lot of decks. But this is just generically a good black card, I guess, that gets rid of run cards. In worst case scenario, you can give one of your leader cards or battle cards plus 5k power, or you can charge it, so it's not an overly bad card. Pay 1 petrification. I did just run this at 2, but I used to see it too much and it's very cloggy. There's not really many cards I want to hit with this, other than the Sin 9-drop, which just has very good synergy. Really, you can do like this on an attack of your, on their 9-drop, you can negate its skills, and then next turn you can go leader effect, eat their 9-drop, they get no draw 2, no play, and yeah, so it basically shuts down that play. 2 of this card here. This has very good synergy with the deck. This is just the free negate blocker by taking a life. This has very good synergy with the new poutine, which I'll go about in a second. But yeah, this is just the take a life, play a double blocker. It's not too bad. And this negate here is Absorption of Doom. You can play this at 3 if you want. You can play it at 4. It's completely up to you. I think 4 is fine. I prefer to see this card. This card is very good for what it is. So basically, leader card's a black thing card, negate the attack, and then if they have a skillless battle card or unison card in play, they can only attack 2 more times for the turn. So that's with anything. So this basically is a 1-cost negate that says you can only attack 2 more times for the turn. Almost as good as Dragon Slaying Bullet before the errata. And this also has a permanent of if your opponent has some more battle cards in play, you can activate this card's counter skill without paying its cost by choosing one other black card in the hand discarding. So you don't actually have to take life to activate this counter attack. So obviously when you do the counter, as long as I have, you know, obviously from the first effect, you can essentially just pitch 1 black card and basically make them only be able to attack 2 more times for the turn, which I think is very good. I'll give you a quick little demonstration on what a really good combo is that you can do with this and the new poutine. So I think this is very broken for what it is. I don't think a lot of people have figured this out yet. With a bit of play testing, we've managed to come up with this tech here. So basically, with these 2 cards here, you can stop 4 attacks, draw 2 cards, and take a life. So it's not bad for 1 mana, 1 life. So basically, the combo basic is you play this, you swing with this, pop the token, restand, draw a card. And then that's basically almost going to guarantee your damage in the early game. And then your next turn, you may go block with this. If they don't combo, it stays alive. That's better. Sometimes you can combo to keep this alive. On the next attack, you can do this. So you play your token to negate the attack. So that's now 2 attacks stopped. And then when they attack for their 3rd attack, you can block with the token. If they go no combo, then you go activate battle of this, pop this, draw a card, restand. So that's now 3 attacks stopped. You draw another card now. And then they swing again. You block with this again, and that's 4 attacks stopped. You've essentially taken a life from this. So you've essentially gained 3 cards in your hand, stop 4 attacks, and you almost guarantee 1 damage to this for 1 mana and 1 life, which I think is a very broken 2-card combo, which I don't think many people have stumbled upon yet, but I think now this is out, people may start wanting to play that more. But just to give you an insight to that, because we've been testing it quite a bit and it's worked very well in testing. Quick side, so basically we've run 2 Koitsukai. This is basically just for yellow and blue. This sort of helps get around that problem, I guess. 2 Kai, this is just good against any, I guess, big decks that play big guys that are a problem. 2 max power Kamehameha, same thing as Kai, just another alternate removal. It's very good. 2 Brownless No More. This is just good if you got any matches where they play a lot of like double strike dudes or triple strike dudes, depending on what you're versing. You know, this is a potentially good side card. I was iffy about it at the start, but I still needs to be tested, but I think it's alright. The second petrification, this is just good against matchups like Sin Shamron against a 9-drop where they play their big 9-drop and you don't really want to remove it with your leader to give them the +2 to draw a card. To play a dude, sorry. So you prefer to do this first and then remove it afterwards. Otherwise, this is just good to get around any other problem cards that people may be running. 1 4 cost Sin Shamron. Spoke about this before. This card is very good. Deflect, Double Strike, Barrier, Blocker. This is not too bad for a 4 cost. It can stop attacks by blocking. It can restand itself, mill them. This does a lot. It can be very aggro. It can be very controlling. So I just play as the one of just in case you need it. In case you go into a more grindy game, you want to see a few more cards that can sort of help you push through, and this is just one of those cards. 1 Dark King's Flash. This is just for Sin Shamron, really. This is just a one of. You don't necessarily need it, but it's nice just to have that extra backup in case you need it. 2 Boo. This is good if you just want to guarantee damage. Especially if you're swinging with something big. I didn't feel the point of maining this card. There's just not really the space for it. It's more or less for the grindy games where you want to just push through. But inherently this is just a good extra card for the deck. And then basically when you do the order of this, if your energy is black, when you activate this card, you can choose one of up to 1 battle card in your opponent's drop area and send it to its warp, so you can get rid of any problem cards in there, same like with the 1-drops in Shamrons and like the 1-star balls and stuff. And then if you want, you can mill 4, but you don't use it for that effect, you don't have to. But it's also good for graveyard removal. And last 2 we play is Kami. So in my last video, this wasn't in there in my Sin Shamron deck, which is now being changed. This card here is just inherently good against King Piccolo, because they can't really remove this when it's played. So it's just a good board wipe for that. That's basically why it's in there, because King Piccolo does have a very good time against this deck. So this is your easy out to it. Otherwise you really have to play the grind and it's not really enjoyable. But yeah, but that's about it for the Finn deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Keen to hear some feedback. But yeah, until next time, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.